Hello and welcome to Anastasia Tarot and Vedic Astrology. I'm Anastasia. Up today, we're going to look at some general planetary trends for 2025 and take a little bit of a look at how they affect all the different 12 signs. The positions given in this video are for the Vedic sidereal zodiac. So if you're used to Western astrology, they may be different, but I encourage you to give Vedic a try because it is astronomically accurate. It's science-based, the positions of the planets. So let's get into it. We're going to start with just a general numerology overview of the year 2025. And we're going to do this by adding together 20 plus 25. That gives us 45. And then 4 plus 5 is 9. So there is a subtle influence throughout this whole year of 2025 from the numerology 9. And intuitively, you may feel that 9 has to do with completions. And in Vedic astrology, 9 is associated with the planet Mars. So no matter what your sign is, and no matter what your personal year is, I'll make another video on that to find your personal numerology for 2025. But globally, there's a general influence from the planet Mars. So because of the numerology for 9 as a Mars number, we're going to start looking at our planetary trends with the planet Mars. We're beginning 2025 with Mars in both retrograde and debilitation. So Mars is starting 2025 in its debilitation sign of Cancer, and it's also retrograde. So what does this mean for you? If you're a Cancer, especially Cancer rising, Cancer moon, Cancer sun, as per sidereal Vedic astrology, you may find that you're this Mars retrograde, you're dealing with maybe suppressed anger, things that are coming up from the past. And these retrograde planets give a lot of cosmic support to unearth and uncover maybe things that have been making you mad for a long time, and to start to purify those emotions and work with any kind of suppressed angers that may have been sort of lurking underneath the surface for Cancer. And Cancer, being such a loving sign, generally doesn't really like to deal with anger, but this is a good planetary support to surface some of these and work through them, especially with regards to long-standing or past issues. The retrogrades give you a chance to work some of those out. And then also, if you're Lagna Lord, if you're Aries or Scorpio rising, Mars is also a key player in your chart. So you may find some similar effects with working with this retrograde and debilitated energy. And Mars will go direct in 23 February of this year. So this retrograde chance to kind of go through the past is, from now, January through 23rd February. And then Mars will finally leave its debilitation sign of Cancer and enter Leo on June 6th or 7th. All timings are given for Pacific Standard Time in the United States. So June 6th or 7th, depending on your location in the world. And so when Mars enters Leo, it's leaving its debilitation sign, and the energy is really going to shift. And the other thing to really watch out for with Mars, especially if Mars is your Lagna Lord or a key player in your chart, Mars is going to be conjunct Ketu in Leo. What is Ketu? That is the south node of the moon. And so Mars conjunct Ketu in the fiery sign of Leo Leo people, Leo rising, Leo moon, Leo sun. This is a time where you may find your angers or passions getting inflamed. Mars is the warrior planet, has a lot of passion, a lot of aggression. So you may want to be really conscious of that. And just if you notice that you're having a lot of anger, irritation, be conscious and that this is, a temporary thing, and it's happening while you've got this fiery kind of triple fire influence. You've got, Mars and Ketu, both fiery planets, and psychologically and spiritually speaking, we often say that Ketu is a higher octave of the Mars energy. So this is a chance to spiritualize that Mars energy and take it up to a higher level, which is the level of using this warrior energy as a protective energy and as a vitalizing energy. If you do work with fire at all, for example, if you're a chef or a firefighter, during this transit where Mars is conjunct with Ketu in Leo, and again, that's from about June 6th through July 28th. You want to be especially safety conscious working with fire or any kind of job where there's a risk of fire or accidents. Definitely be very safety conscious during this time. It's a volatile, triple fire influence. And likewise, just keep in mind fire safety around the home. Okay, so that's just a quick look at Mars. And now let's get into some of the other planets. So in 2025, we're going to see some major energy shifts as some of the slow-moving planets, which are Saturn, Jupiter, and Rahu Ketu, are all shifting signs. And Saturn only changes signs every 2.5 years. So this is a pretty major energetic shift for 2025. Saturn has been dominating for the past 5 years. It's been in the sign of its strength. At first it was in Capricorn for 2.5 years. It's now in Aquarius. And these are both Saturn's home signs. Saturn is in domicile in these signs. So Saturn has been very strong. So after these 5 years of domination in its strength, Saturn is going to enter Pisces on 30th of March. So this is going to be a major energy shift for 2025. So for Pisces moon people, if your moon is in Pisces as per sidereal Vedic chart, you're going to be beginning your 2.5 years of peak Sadhesati. And Sadhesati is a major initiation into Saturn's lessons and Saturn's energy. This is a new channel. I'll be making a video about that soon. But in the meantime, just know that if your moon is in Pisces, you are going through this major Saturn initiation that only comes around 2 or 3 times in the average person's life. And it is a lot of cosmic support to learn Saturn's lessons and really integrate Saturn's energy into your chart, into your life. So what does that mean for all the signs though? Generally speaking, Saturn in Pisces is a much softer energy than it has been in Capricorn and Aquarius. And Saturn is the planet of long-term planning. It's a pretty heavy malefic planet, but it is acting to spiritualize your life. So when it enters into the sign of Pisces, which is this very mystical, spiritual, creative sign, you may feel a lot of support for actually bringing self-discipline into your spiritual practices, whether it's meditation, astrology, tarot, whatever types of spiritual practices that you're into. Saturn gives a lot of cosmic support for self-discipline and Also, long-range planning. This 2.5-year cycle of Saturn and Pisces is a really wonderful time to reflect. What are your long-term goals, spiritually speaking? Because Saturn is going to really help take that long view. Saturn is the planet of old age, and it's the slowest moving planet. So Saturn really encourages you in Pisces to take a long-term view about your spiritual life and also your creative life. Pisces is a very creative sign. So artists and creatives, you may find a similar support, that Saturn supports learning about these things, studying spirituality, studying astrology and tarot, studying art. If you're creative, Saturn really supports learning about these things and making long-range plans. So that's a major energy shift for 2025. Saturn also supports grounding. It's a slow-moving, grounded planet. So during this time, if you're the type of person who gets involved with meditation and spiritual practice, but sometimes feels ungrounded, this is also, this transit of Saturn and Pisces is also a really good time to develop your grounding practice of taking those mystical inspirations and mystical experiences and grounding them in the physical plane and the physical reality of life. And it's also, Saturn supports your inner resiliency. Whether your spiritual practice is alone or with others, Saturn encourages you to develop an inner spiritual resiliency while it's transiting the sign of Pisces. So next up, we're going to have a look at Jupiter. Jupiter spends about 1 year in every sign, so it's also considered a slow-moving planet. And we've started 2025 with Jupiter in Taurus. Jupiter is going to be in Taurus up until mid-May, and then it's going to enter Gemini around 14th or 15th of May, again, depending on your location. And so while Jupiter has been in Taurus in this beginning part of the year, gives a lot of support if you have Taurus rising sun or moon in your sidereal Vedic chart. You've been enjoying this support from Jupiter, which is the great benefic. And Jupiter in Taurus really supports long-term financial planning, possibly even long-term investments. Again, these are general readings, and how these planetary energies manifest in your life will depend on your individual personal chart. But this energy of Jupiter, the great benefic in Taurus, which is a fixed earth sign, can definitely support long-range financial planning and possibly even long-range investments, and just a general kind of feel-good factor for Taurus. And then from January 28th of this year, January 28th to 14th May, Jupiter is in a Parivartana yoga with Venus. So what does this mean? It's an exchange of lordships. Jupiter is in Venus's sign, right? Because Taurus is ruled by Venus. So Jupiter is in Venus's sign, and Venus goes into Pisces, which is Jupiter's sign. So this exchange of lordships between these two benefic planets, Jupiter and Venus, are both benefics. So again, this Parivartana yoga just gives a sort of subtle feel-good factor of these benefics exchanging signs. And Jupiter is going to be, when she's in Pisces, when Venus is in Pisces, she's in her exaltation sign. So this is just a nice little yoga that's happening from January 28th to 14th May that has a subtle feel-good factor for all signs. And then in mid-May, Jupiter is going to transit into Gemini. So this is a pretty major shift. So especially Gemini Lagna, Gemini rising, this benefic Jupiter is going to be in your it's going to be in your first house. So this gives a subtle expansion to your luck factor. And if you're Gemini moon, that means Jupiter is going to be with your moon. Again, a really nice combination to have Jupiter with your moon. It supports your mind being calm and expansive. And if you have Sun in Gemini, likewise, Jupiter in the same sign as your natal sun is going to be a nice benefic influence for the following year of Jupiter's transit in Gemini. And generally speaking, Jupiter is the planet of luck and expansion and prosperity. And what is Gemini? Gemini is the sign of communications, technology, media. So this may be a really good time for all signs, this mixture of the Jovian energies with the sign of Gemini, projects having to do with communication, media, technology. All of these types of areas are going to be supported. So you're just going to have some cosmic support, especially if you work with communication or even teaching, when Jupiter combines with Mercury, and Gemini is ruled with Mercury. It really supports teaching and learning. So if you're a teacher or your work depends in one way or another on communication, you may see a career boost. And again, this is going to be most strongly felt by Gemini people. But all signs globally will feel a little bit of a boost in your activities having to do with communication, technology, and also the arts. Again, Gemini is quite often involved with the arts because the arts are a form of communication. So expect to see some expansion in these areas. Now let's have a look at the other benefic, Venus. Venus is a faster moving planet, so its transits aren't as long as Saturn or Jupiter or Rahu Ketu. However, Venus in 2025 has a pretty long exaltation period in Pisces. And this is, again, Venus brings a feel-good factor. And it's going to, for Pisces moon especially, if you're going into that Sadhesati with Saturn over your natal moon, Venus is definitely a softening effect for that. So that's something to keep in mind. And generally speaking, this Venus exaltation time is really going to support relationships, creativity, if you work as a creative, or just even if you enjoy whatever it is, art, music, acting, singing, all the creative arts are supported by this Jupiter in Pisces, as well as relationships, whether you're in a relationship or whether you're looking for a relationship. Venus in Pisces gives a really nice benefic support. Now, Venus is going to be in retrograde. So from March 1st through April 12th, Venus will be exalted, but she'll be in retrograde. So avoid marriage during this time, although it is generally a wonderful time for relationships. You don't want to get married during a Venus retrograde. So don't plan a wedding for this Venus retrograde if you can help it. And the full exaltation is from January 28th to 31st May. So that's the time that Venus is going to be exalted in Pisces and offering these really benefic influences for relationships and creativity. Now, The Venus retrograde, although it's not a good time for marriage per se, it is a really wonderful time to renew relationships. So if you're in a relationship, you may find that this retrograde time allows, it gives you some cosmic support to renew your relationship. To change your relationship in positive directions. What are retrograde planets, right? They're a cosmic do-over. They're times to reflect on the past and get it right. So you may find some support if you're already in a relationship for support for do-overs and renewing your relationship. Now, Venus retrograde can also bring past relationships back to life. It can sometimes renew a past relationship. So again, these are very general readings, and everyone is going to manifest these energies differently depending on your personal natal chart. But if that's a factor in your life, this retrograde Venus in its exaltation sign may see you getting back together with an ex, possibly, or it even could just be reconnecting with an old friend, but in some way reconnecting with a past relationship. And now let's get into everyone's favorites, the Mercury retrogrades. Mercury retrogrades about 3 times a year, and it affects everyone differently. Generally, Gemini and Virgo are the most affected. Some people aren't very much affected by all, some people aren't affected very much at all. But it is something to keep in mind, and especially if you work with, technology, media, communication, you do definitely want to, back up your files and be extra careful during your Mercury retrograde periods. One interesting trend for 2025 is that all of Mercury's retrogrades occur in water signs. The first Mercury retrograde is in Pisces, where Mercury is debilitated. And then the second Mercury retrograde is in Cancer, and then the third is in Scorpio. So this is really interesting that all 3 Mercury retrogrades for 2025 are in water signs. So this is a really subtle effect on everyone, which is going to look at the emotions, emotional purification, and again, it may be surfacing past emotions to bring them up to the surface so that you can purify them and really get to the bottom of them in a profound way and understand them. So this is a very subtle influence on the emotions during these Mercury retrogrades. And as I said, cosmic support for all signs in surfacing and working through some past emotions. And then the first Mercury retrograde goes from 14 March until 7 April. Mercury is debilitated in Pisces and retrograde. The second Mercury retrograde is going to be 17 July until 11 August, and Mercury is going to be in Cancer. And then the third Mercury retrograde is 9 November through 29 November. And that's going to be mostly in Scorpio, a little bit in Libra. So if you are strongly affected by Mercury retrogrades, you may just want to note down those dates as times to be extra careful with your communication. And of course, don't plan any major tech projects and upgrades during those Mercury retrogrades. You may have to do them twice. And of course, back up all your files during those times. So next up, we'll have a look at everyone's favorite eclipses. And along with the slow-moving planets of Saturn and Jupiter being on the move, 2025 is a major shift of the karmic axis, Rahu Ketu, which are the north and south nodes of the moon. So the nodes shift signs every 18 months. So throughout most of 2024 and up until spring of 25, the lunar nodes, Rahu Ketu, have been on the Pisces Virgo axis. And if you are Pisces or Virgo, or if you have a lot of planets in Pisces and Virgo, you may have been feeling this Rahu Ketu transit over Pisces Virgo pretty intensely. Again, it depends on your individual chart, how these transits manifest in your life. But Rahu Ketu activate the karmic axis of your chart. They're the planets of past and future karmas. So they can have a pretty deep effect in your life. And in 2025, Rahu Ketu are on the move. So they are moving from the Pisces Virgo axis to the Leo Aquarius axis. And this happens around May 19th, again, depending where you are in the year. Now, in my notes, I am not sure if I am using the true node or the mean node. These are a couple of different ways of calculating Rahu Ketu's transits. So the dates may be slightly different depending on whether you're using true node or mean node. However, we're going to look at our first lunar eclipse is going to still be on the Virgo Pisces axis. So this is happening 13th or 14th of March. So depending where you are, 13 or 14 of March. And this is a lunar eclipse, and it's likely going to affect you pretty strongly if you're either a Pisces or a Virgo, or if you have a lot of planets in Pisces and Virgo. Now, the eclipse time, I really encourage you to note down the date in your phone and see if you can schedule to take the eclipse time off. If you can take that eclipse day off work. The eclipse energy, because Rahu Ketu are shadow planets, right? They have no physical mass. They're coordinates in space where eclipses occur. So they really support this internal, your inward development, your inward life. If you're the type of person that likes doing shadow work, Rahu Ketu, and these eclipse times really offer cosmic support for shadow work. These are great times to do tarot card readings and really focus internally, and to focus on your shadow side if that's your cup of tea. So that first lunar eclipse on 13th or 14th of March, Exalted Venus is conjunct Mercury and Rahu in Pisces. So again, that's a really nice energy, having that exalted Venus as part of the eclipse. So it may be a good time if you are able to, do your personal meditations or your personal tarot readings. It may be a time to focus inwardly on your relationships and that realm of life. And there is, again, support with that Parivartana yoga between Venus and Jupiter. That's all happening in this March eclipse. Now, the solar eclipse happens on 29th of March, and that's also on this Virgo Pisces axis. So for 29th of March, we're going to have Mercury, Venus, Sun, Moon, and Rahu are all conjunct in Pisces. So Pisces people, my Pisces friends, this is a really good day to take off work if you can. A lot of intensity there, right? You've got all these planets and an eclipse happening in Pisces. So really a lot of intensity there. And again, it does support inward work. It may feel intense and overwhelming for dealing with your external life, but for your inward life, you really get some nice cosmic support for getting some inspirations or some insights about your inner life. And then the Rahu goes into Aquarius on May 19th. During spring of 2025, the nodes are on the move. And this is going to be a pretty major energy shift for Pisces, Virgo people. Whew, you may feel like things lighten up for you. For Aquarius and Leo people, you may find some more intensity is coming as this karmic activation of this Rahu Ketu axis is playing out over either, whether you have rising moon or sun in Leo or Aquarius, you are going to be feeling the effect of these lunar nodes more intensely than you have been. Rahu is going to be in, Rahu in Aquarius is in domicile, it's in its strength. So especially Aquarius people, I think, so Aquarius people, Rahu is in your sign and it's in its power. Rahu is considered at home in Aquarius. And just as Ketu is considered a higher octave of Mars energy, Rahu is considered a higher octave of Saturn's energy. So especially for Aquarius people, this Rahu energy is going to help you spiritualize some of your inner life. Rahu supports, again, your inner development and your shadow work. And so Rahu in strength in the sign of Aquarius is going to really support that for Aquarians in this latter part of 2025. So in 2025, the fall eclipse season is happening with the lunar eclipse on the Leo Aquarius axis on 7th of September, and the solar eclipse also on that Leo Aquarius axis on 21 September. So for Leo and Aquarius people out there, you may find that these eclipses have a lot of intensity for you, and they are good times to, as I've said, if you can take off work for the fall eclipses, really great cosmic and planetary support to work on your inner life, do shadow work, and just whatever spiritual pursuits you enjoy, whether that's tarot card reading or meditation or prayer, or even just taking some time to devote to self-care. These eclipse dates are going to be really wonderful days for Leo and Aquarius people to devote to taking care of your internal life. So on the 7th of September, lunar eclipse, we're going to have Mercury, Sun, and Ketu are all in Leo. So again, that can be a pretty intense time for Leos. But the most, and Rahu, for Aquarius people, Rahu is in Aquarius and of course conjunct the moon because that's what's causing the lunar eclipse. So again, Aquarius people, you'll also be experiencing intensity during this September 7th lunar eclipse. And then the solar eclipse on 21 September, Leo people, this could be very intense for you, right? Because Leo is ruled by the sun. The sun is Leo's lord. And Ketu is going to be with Venus in your sign of Leo during this solar eclipse. And Venus enhances a kind of feel-good factor for the eclipse. Eclipses can sometimes feel really overwhelming and pressurized. But again, especially if you're able to take some time off that combination of Ketu and Venus in Leo during this eclipse on the 21st of September. Good time to do inner work with regard to relationships or your creativity and your spirituality. You have the cosmic and planetary support for those types of activities on the solar eclipse day. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. This channel is just getting started, so please like and subscribe. It'll help the channel grow, and I will be posting more Vedic astrology, kind of more detailed videos as we get into the year and get closer to the dates. But have a wonderful and blessed 2025. Thank you so much. Namaste.